So you got a guppy tank set up, and now you want to take the next step into maybe putting something with your guppies. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 perfect tank mates for guppies. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to start with a story. And the story is about some college kids, right? They went to a party and they were having fun all night, and they skipped out on studying when it comes to their final test the next day. And so they went out and had fun instead of studying and working hard. Well, the next day, they decided, we're not ready for this test. We need to come up with a plan that we're going to tell the dean. So they went in, they got all covered in grease and all covered in dirt. They went into the dean and they're like, hey, we're at this wedding this weekend and our tire burst on the way home and we spent the whole night pushing the car back, and can we please retake the test? And of course the dean heard him out, and he's like, yeah, you guys are good. We'll schedule in a few days. So the dean gave him 3 days to get ready for the test, because that's the time he had. So the day came, and the dean put them in separate rooms for testing, and they were okay with this because they studied real hard and they actually got ready for the test this time. When they come to take the test, they see only 2 questions. The first question, which is worth 1 point, what is your name? The second question, which tire burst, which is 99 points. That was the end of the test. Okay, so why did I tell you that story? The moral of the story is to be responsible and make good decisions. So that's exactly what I want you guys to do when choosing tank mates for your guppies, or any fish actually. Okay, so that being said, remember that your fish tank is your guppy's entire world. So you don't want to fill it with things like bullies. You don't want it to be too small of a tank and have too many fish in it. And you don't want to choose fish that require a different kind of water as far as pH. And I'm assuming that you chose a guppy first, and you're going to add fish to your guppy tank, not a guppy to another fish tank. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to suggest are snails. Now, snails are awesome because 1, they're not going to hurt your guppies. They are always going to be working on the tank, like as far as cleaning the tank, by eating uneaten food, eating algae, things like that. So it's going to keep your whole aquarium healthier because you're not going to have food decaying in your tank. Say like a fish dies one weekend and you're not paying attention, they'll eat that. Like if you're like, where'd my fish go? Chances are it died and the snails ate it. Plecos do that too. But in general, they're great at just keeping the health of your entire tank as good as possible. Okay, so maybe you don't want to try a snail. Maybe try something similar that is a little more entertaining and, to me, a little bit more fulfilling. And that's going to be a shrimp. Now, shrimps do the same thing. They're super low threat. They're super active. They're always doing something with their little hands. They do beneficial things for your aquarium too, eating that uneaten food at the bottom, getting in all those little crevices just like the snails, like I said. They eat some algae, like an amano shrimp eats a ton of algae. Cherry shrimp, not so much. They eat a little bit, but they're more just, gonna help around with the whole aquarium and be your little scavenger crew. And they come in tons of varieties too. But the main advantages I like about them is they're faster moving. One, if you want to try breeding them, say you're breeding your guppies, start breeding some shrimp, growing some plants, and that shrimp/guppy tank can sustain your hobby if you do it right. Do a little bit of strategy and, start selling stuff to pet stores and trading stuff to friends, and you'll sustain your hobby. Tips on shrimp: don't throw them in a brand new tank. Make sure the tank's already established, which is why I suggest, these are things I would add to a guppy tank, not the other way around. Not I would add guppies to this tank. and basically know what you're doing first. Shrimp are a little bit more sensitive, so do your research a little bit beforehand. Cory Catfish is number 3. Cory are awesome. They come in tons of different varieties. They're a bottom dweller, so they're gonna fill in your tank at the bottom. You know, guppies do go all over the tank, but they tend to associate you with food, and they'll come to the top of the tank whenever you're around. So having a nice bottom dweller helps out. The albinos are super cool. That's super common. They're pretty sturdy. They also are super friendly, easy to keep, like I said, and they'll just be a really rewarding fish to keep. So I highly suggest it. So what do you not want to get for your guppies? Don't get a doveye. Now, I know if you don't know what a doveye is, it's a huge aggressive cichlid. So I'm being sarcastic, but it's a metaphor just like the story. Basically, don't get something that's gonna be able to fit a guppy in its mouth, just like that, and eat it outright, or grow to get that big. And don't get anything that's gonna be able to fit a little bit of the guppy in its mouth. You know, if it can fit half the guppy in its mouth, it's gonna try to eat it. So be careful with that. Don't get anything too aggressive. Don't get anything that's like soft water. Guppies like harder water. Don't get any nippy barbs, and definitely don't get cichlids, because unless you want a cichlid tank, which I recommend, but not at the expense of your guppies. Don't get any aggressive tetras. What else? Basically anything that is going to hurt a defenseless fish. Treat it that way, you know what I mean? I think it's important that if we're talking about tank mates, we now talk about tank size. Now, if you see in this video, I have a 10-gallon tank. My guppies have plenty of room. They got the snails. The tank is doing fine. But say I want to pack this tank even more full, and if I keep doing that, maybe it's time to upgrade. So I recommend maybe getting a 20-gallon tank. So then, you know, especially with the Corydoras, getting a 20-gallon with the Corydoras will let them shoal around, school around, and basically pick around at all the bottom, and they'll have more surface area on the bottom to go around and explore. 20 or more to breed shrimp, definitely, because you want to make that money to sustain your hobby, or not, you know. I just definitely recommend at least a 20-gallon for shrimp. That's if you want a lot of shrimp. If you just want a few shrimp, doing a 10-gallon like this is just fine. But really, you should get a bigger tank and try to make a guppy tank that can sustain your hobby, because once you start getting some really nice guppies, some really nice shrimp, trust me, it'll work. Those are my 3 perfect tank mates for guppies. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you have any other suggestions? Let me know. Also, if you haven't yet already, subscribe, because why not? Hit like and ring that bell so you get notifications for when I post a new video. And I will see you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.